Welcome to a special Thursday edition of Weiser Wednesday. In our last episode, we talked about the importance of learning and the whole point about seeing differently, to gather more information, to see things from different perspectives, being able to zoom in as well as zoom out to see the bigger picture. And we talked about how we think about that information, using a growth mindset, thinking about the future, considering that we need to combine sometimes opposites in terms of, we might need to go slow to go fast. We might need not just to focus on efficiency, but focus on resiliency and how they work together. But you can't stop there. The question is, what are you going to do differently? And in these sessions, over the last week plus, there was, again, some common themes. One was, do you lead people through a crisis, or do you manage a response to a crisis? And if you're managing the response, you're being reactive. You're very often feeling like the victim. You're feeling like you have to play defense. And I think it's important for businesses today, for people today, to start being hopeful, thinking positive, and to go more on the offense and say, how do I lead through this crisis? How do I motivate my people? How do I engage my people? How do I engage others? A lot of that is based on trust, and hopefully you've built that before, because it's kind of hard to build now. And we're seeing that in some of our national leadership. And we've probably seen that in companies before. Leaders need to build trust. And if people trust you as a leader, they're willing to listen. They're willing to take more risks because they see you have their back. I think the second point that really came across is this idea that you cannot make people change. You can't force change to happen. And I wrote about this earlier in the year, that you want people to learn why to change. You want to enable people to choose to change themselves. People can change themselves, but you can't change others. So how do you help people see the value in changing? How do you give them the tools and the skills to enable them to change? The third point, when you think about leading through change or managing through managing the reaction, are you being a multiplier? As a leader, you multiply the impact that individuals have and that collectively the organization has. Or are you managing a response? Are you taking control away from people, which diminishes them, makes them disengage? So, seeing differently, thinking differently, and using that information to do differently. Now, going forward, I'm going to talk about different frameworks and different tools and questions that I learned from these sessions that can help you. Now, it's interesting, there was some new stuff, some new perspectives that I gained and that I'll share with you. A lot of it reaffirmed a lot of the things I've been writing about, thinking about, talking about helping companies survive and thrive through disruptions. Not necessarily pandemics, but that applies too. And a lot of it amplified things that I've been thinking, different ways of saying it. So another takeaway just overall that people said, this is an unprecedented time. An experience and expertise, which we've relied on all the time before, is not enough. We have to be learning and building our understanding of the situation. We have to improvise, and we have to adapt. We have to work with others, and we have to think through this. So when I think about our task ahead, how do we make this real? How do we apply this in our organizations? How do we make it useful? And what I do, and what I want to do, is to help you. And I do that through education and speaking, like I'm doing today, or I can do with your leadership team. It's about advising and facilitating. You need someone, or it's very helpful to have someone to guide you through this process who knows the right questions to ask. I don't say I have the answers, but I do know the questions that will help you think through this. And the third thing I do is that as you identify changes and things you want to do, is I help you implement those changes and help you build the skills so you can carry that going forward. Now you're probably saying, why do I do this? For me, it's about helping organizations and leaders survive and thrive. It's about making them heroes. It's about increasing your odds of being successful, because nothing is certain, but you can prepare and get ready for whatever you're going to face. And that's going to increase your odds of being successful. And I do that by helping you see, think, and do differently, and it helps you be ready, prepared, and able to act and adapt. This isn't something you do just once. This has to be a capability that you can do on an ongoing basis. It's got to be your new norm that's going to help you deal with the various norms, plural, that you'll face in the coming months and coming years. So, if you're intrigued about this, if you're interested, let's talk. Contact me, email me for a complimentary 1-hour discovery call or briefing. We do this either way. The one thing I guarantee is that by talking with me, you'll begin to see and think differently yourself. Now in coming posts and coming Weiser Wednesdays, I'm going to share and apply these lessons. I'm going to give you tips to help you see, think, and do differently. Tips that can help you become more prepared, ready, and able. I'll be sharing articles and lessons that I've learned. I'll be writing new pieces, and I'll be posting new videos. So until we meet again, stay safe, be well, and see you next week.